Hi, it's Steph. Thanks for clicking. This is my first update for Supernatural Pan Interrupted. This project was started by Jessica and Amanda in 2018 and I started it last month, but I do have some progress. In this project, you take each episode of the TV show Supernatural and you choose an item that goes with that particular episode. It's recommended that you work on 6 at a time, which I have been doing. And so we're going to start with the pilot and see how far I've gotten. In the pilot episode, Sam Winchester is visited by his estranged brother Dean in the middle of the night, who informs him that their father was hunting and has gone missing. So they go to Jericho, California, where he had been last seen, and in this case it turned out he was hunting a ghost, specifically a woman in white. She had been targeting men who were unfaithful to their wives or girlfriends and killing them. So they have to defeat this ghost. And so since this ghost is a woman in white, I picked a white item. This is the Lord & Berry Silk Kajal Kohl Liner in the shade white. And I have a goal of using this 15 times because this show ran for 15 seasons. So far I'm at 3. So I have a ways to go. I didn't wear as much makeup in the month of December as I thought because I was working from home for a week and I also worked nights for a week and I didn't wear makeup either of those weeks for work. So only 3 uses. I'm sure I'll get more. The second episode was called Wendigo. Sam and Dean Winchester pose as park rangers to help a brother and sister search for their lost sibling. The Winchesters believe he may have been taken by a Wendigo. A Wendigo, according to Native American legend, is someone who became a cannibal, and doing this gave them supernatural abilities, but also they're no longer human. And the sister of the missing individual determined that Sam and Dean were not in fact park rangers because she observed that they were going on this backpacking trip into the woods with no supplies at all other than weapons and a bag of M&Ms. So for this episode, I decided to bring in something that I actually would take backpacking with me, which would not be makeup, but I did decide to bring in this sunscreen. It's the Resting Beach Face Sunscreen Serum from Everyday Humans. This expires in February, so I would like to finish it. There's not much left, and in December I only used it twice. And I'm actually really happy with that because between how early it gets dark and the weather and the fact that I moved and therefore was spending more time indoors packing and unpacking means that I'm happy with 2 uses, but it's not gone yet. There's still a couple more in here, and I should be able to use it a little bit more now that I have moved and I'm close to done unpacking, about halfway. We'll say that. The third episode is called Dead in the Water. While going through the newspaper, Dean comes across a mysterious drowning. He soon discovers that more people have been drowned in the same lake without their bodies ever being found. And so it turns out there was a ghost haunting this lake, and this ghost has the ability to travel through the plumbing and affect people that way. So since the ghost kills using water, I decided to bring in a product that I would use in water. And so it was a Christmas bath bomb that a friend had made me last year, and this is it now. It's gone. I used it, so I did meet my goal for Dead in the Water. It was a nice bath bomb. It smelled like gingerbread, and so I'm grateful that I got that as a gift, and it's gone now. Episode 4 was Phantom Traveler. A friend of Dean's calls him up when a plane crashes under mysterious circumstances. Dean and Sam soon discover a flight attendant who was on the plane, but do not realize her full connection to the crash until they are on board another flight with her. And so this episode actually takes place in Kittanning, Pennsylvania, allegedly, which is about half an hour from where I am, and that doesn't quite make sense because Kittanning does not have a commercial airport, and they get on a commercial airline during this particular episode, so we're just going to go with it. But since they are dealing with commercial air travel, I decided to go with something that TSA would allow me to bring on board a plane. So I picked these samples of shampoo and conditioner from Pureology. This is the Hydrate Sheer Shampoo and Conditioner. This is the shampoo. When it came in, it was there. It is now here. So I'm making good progress on this. I expect this to be done next month. This is the conditioner. It was about there when it came in, and it's gone now. This is an empty. So I just have the shampoo left, and we'll get that finished next update, I am sure. Episode 5 was Bloody Mary. A man dies of a stroke in front of a mirror, but Sam and Dean believe something or someone else may be behind his death. Also, Dean tries to help Sam open up about his girlfriend's death, particularly after Sam lets it slip that there's some information that he hasn't told Dean. And so in this episode, of course, the ghost is Bloody Mary. She died in front of a mirror, and now she is connected with mirrors, and she is killing people who have secrets, essentially. But since Bloody Mary is always tied to mirrors, I picked something with a mirror in it. This is the Japanesque Velvet Touch eyeshadow in the shade 01. It's an inner corner highlight type of shade. There it is. I have a goal of using this 15 times, and so far I've only used it once. But that's alright, there is a little mirror in there. Hi. And so I'll get 14 more uses eventually. Again, I didn't wear makeup as often as I thought, but I am sure I will meet my goal on this in a few months. And the last one I was working on was the episode Skin. Sam's friend Zach is accused of murder, and Sam offers to help out by checking up on his sister Rebecca. She claims her brother could not have committed the murder because he was with her at the time of the murder, but all physical evidence points to Zach being at the scene of the crime. Could Zach have been in two places at the same time? Well, of course not. What really happened is that there was a shapeshifter who was assuming Zach's form, and that was the actual killer. And these shapeshifters, when they change form, they actually shed their skin, and it's pretty nasty whenever they change. So I decided to shed my skin. This is the Intelligent Nutrients Refining Micro Polish. It is a facial exfoliant, and I have a goal of finishing this. There's not a lot left in there. This was in a project before, and it's hard to gauge how much is left in here because it is such a fat tube, but it is really low. My goal is to finish it. It's not gone yet. Maybe a month or two? I'm not sure, but it's still in the project. So with episode 3, Dead in the Water, rolling out, I am bringing in one new episode, and so of course that's season 1, episode 7, which is Hookman. You know the story of the Hookman, right? Sam and Dean help a girl whose date became a victim of the Hookman, a famous urban legend that turns to be real in a small college town somewhere in Iowa. In order to save her and her father, the local minister, the brothers have to find the ghost's bones so they can destroy them. However, there's one tiny problem. They're in an unmarked grave. In this episode, the Hookman turns out to be the ghost of a preacher who was trying to protect this girl in his own way from corruption. So he was eliminating people from her life permanently if he felt that they were a bad influence. And so for the item that I picked for this, I have to tell a little bit of a story. Before I moved back to Pennsylvania, I was a member of a church in Washington State. And I want to be clear here that I've moved several times and been a member of several different congregations, and I have never encountered someone like this particular person who went to this church. But this woman, we're going to pretend her name is Fanny. It's not. She grabbed me when I walked into the building one day, and she dragged me in front of the elders immediately. Like, she didn't even say a word. She was just like, come with me, and grabbed my wrist and dragged me over. And so I was a little bit behind her when she approached them, and she declared that blue eyeshadow shouldn't be permitted unless you're at least 30. Well, the first elder was just really confused because the word eyeshadow isn't really in his vocabulary, and he had no idea what she was talking about. The second elder immediately thought that she meant his wife, because his wife always wore blue eyeshadow at church because it was her favorite. She clarified that she meant me and started going on about how I shouldn't be allowed to wear blue eyeshadow, and then I go, hold on. What do you mean I can't wear blue eyeshadow until I'm 30? I'm 31, so I meet your criteria anyway. So she looked me up and down for a minute, and then she turned back to the elders and says, you shouldn't be allowed to wear blue eyeshadow until you're 40. That's awfully ridiculous of her, and the elders agreed. They made it very clear that the rule is that makeup is permitted but not required in church, and they are not going to police that. And the idea of her trying to make a rule that specifically applied to me came back to haunt her later. But that's an entirely different story. But because Fanny once tried to tell me that Christians are not allowed to wear blue eyeshadow until they're 40 years old, I'm going to bring in a blue eyeshadow. This is my Lilo & Stitch Ohana palette, and these are the blue eyeshadows that I was wearing that day, so it was probably all 3 of them, but I'm going to bring in the shade Surf's Up with the goal to hit pan. I had that in Panner's Bingo, and I didn't manage to hit pan, so I'm going to try again. So I'm going to hit pan in Surf's Up, and yes, I am going to wear it to church, you better believe it, and I have no problems with that whatsoever. So there's my update. At the very least, I should be able to finish this shampoo for Phantom Traveler, so I'm sure that next month there'll be at least one roll in as well. Wish me luck, good luck with your projects, and I'll see you next month. Bye.